And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And here we go again. Welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Almost a decade on here in Tampa Bay. Want to help you win in your buying decisions. Attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, contractor, tech experts, expert contributors here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Save our hotline number 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. Call or text. And a big heartfelt thank you to those who reach out and support the show. We really appreciate you reaching out to the hotline. 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com as well. We'll put you in touch with all of our expert contributors, attorneys, and all types of great folks that are our expert contributors on the program. We've got Nate Ginter in the house as well. He's going to be on coming up, Chief Technology Officer with Vine IT. We're going to talk about a recent statement by President Biden on our nation's cybersecurity. Apple blocks iTunes rentals for purchases on Android TV. And also Epic raises $36 million in 24 hours to aid Ukraine using Fortnite. So pretty cool topics. He always has some great content for us. We're going to have Fred Muth as well. Tampa Screens and Aluminum here on the program. Contractor tips, what to do, what to avoid, what to look out for. And Fred Muth, longtime friend of the program, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we'll let you know about a hot listing that we've got here in Tampa Bay. This one's 14121 7th Street in Dade City. This is a restaurant that we've got right on the main street. Beautiful property. This is the real estate, the furniture, all of the freezers, all of the cooking equipment included in the sale in Dade City at 14121 7th Street is a restaurant here that we've got. And you've got a one-bedroom, one-bath apartment upstairs, so you have on-site management if you'd like. Established restaurant since 1990. Downtown Dade City. Sale includes furniture and equipment. Perfect entrepreneurial investment right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, and give a quick shout out to Replenish IV Solutions. Say hello to Stephen and Lisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. It's a safe and effective way to restore your body's crucial systems with these vitamins and minerals and nutrients, enabling you to perform at optimal levels. I love going in and getting hooked up with a vitamin infusion drip right in my bloodstream. And Replenish IV Solutions, they'll come to you, they'll come to your home or office, and they have multiple Bay Area locations as well. Longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show, Replenish IV Solutions. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. And we have Fred Muth making his debut. He's been on the show 7 years now. Debut.
Debut, right?
Right. Yeah, debut. Where did that come from, host?
I don't know. It sounded good, though. I like it. Use it again.
Sounded good, right? You've only been on the show hundreds of times over the years. So Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Give us a little teaser of what you're going to talk about, my friend.
Teaser would be homeowners beware if you decide to do foundation work on your own for a screen room, and then there's no consideration for the setbacks for the screen enclosures. We've run into 2 or 3 of them in the past couple of weeks, so I'd love to talk about that, just so people don't get in trouble.
Yeah, setbacks, and then we always talk about that permitting process as well, and maybe jump into some of the supply chain as well, supply chain issues. Nate, give us a little teaser what you want to talk about today, my friend.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about what President Biden said when he addressed the nation on cybersecurity and what you can do for your business. Some things that really affect Apple users a lot, especially if you've got things like an Android TV or built-in apps on your TV that run on the Android system. And then one of the, I think you call them feel-good stories about how video games and children have helped out in the war effort in Ukraine.
Yeah, I love that. That's our feel good story of the day. Then we'll
cool.
have that earmarked for the fourth segment. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Yeah, let's jump right into that. When folks are planning, they're in that planning process, adding on a screen room, a screened enclosure, a pool, screen enclosure over the pool, or something to their backyard or lanai. There are some considerations that you have to take into play.
For sure. The consultation with the contractor is very important. Even if they decide to pour the concrete on their own, which a lot of them will do that. They'll find a concrete man and come in and do it without a permit, unfortunately, but sometimes that happens. And then, like, for example, right now I have one in Pasco where it's a 5-foot setback, and a man had a beautiful slab poured, and now he's 2.5 feet from the lot line. So I can't build to the edge of the slab. I have to set the entire screen room back 2 feet 8 inches from the edge of the slab to satisfy the 5-foot setback. And I see this quite often in the city of Tampa, where the city of Tampa has some unusual setback requirements for solid panel roofs or aluminum roofs. It's 20 foot from the rear lot line unless it's a 0 lot line community. And that's, that could be a planned unit development or a condo community, for example.
Right.
And pool screen enclosures with a screen roof, there's a 5-foot requirement all the way around from the rear and the sides. And then, it's complicated. We know because we've been doing it for years, but the side setback in the city is not 5 feet for a solid roof. It's 7 feet if it's attached to the building, to the main building. And it's 10 feet if it's not attached to the main building. So there's all of these requirements. And, we'll go out to the job. The concrete's brand new and it's into the setback. And it's, we tell the homeowner the bad news that we have to come in here and reduce the size. And what am I going to do with the extra concrete on the outside? Well, my suggestion is to plant some planted pots or something on there. But some people will come back. In some cases, the concrete contractors can come back and they can saw that off. They can saw that extra couple of feet off just to make it a more pleasant room, even though the footer now is in the portion that they sawed off, so that when they saw that off, they're going to have to underpin and put another footer in underneath. So it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And so they didn't save any money getting it done on their own.
Right.
And I'm a homeowner myself, and I'm all about saving money when it's time to do work on the home. But you can't, you can't be, what do I call it, penny wise, dollar foolish, or did I say that backwards?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. You start thinking about those homeowners that try to save time and money on certain things, and they do it the wrong way. And even disasters. I remember hearing a few years back someone tried to do their own pest control, and they sprinkled the pellets underneath the home. It was a crawl space type home. I think it might have been over in Seminole Heights area, and they sprinkled the pellets underneath the home, and then the rain came, caused fumes to go through the floor, and it killed people, killed the family.
Oh.
Yeah, but, so just horrible. Things like that, obviously we're talking about a screen room. It's not as a pointed, scenario as that what I just mentioned with the pest control. But, there's things to consider, and you got to look at that. That's why we set the show up and we bring on all these great folks. So we got Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum here, contractor tips and things to look at. Talk to me about supply chain as well. We've noticed inflation just going through the roof, gas prices now. And of course, they're blaming Putin. Like all of a sudden, the gas just went up in the last 3 weeks here. Yeah, but anyways, what do you think about the supply chain issues?
Well, actually, I'm hearing that there's less cargo ships sitting in the Pacific Ocean at this point. How many less? I don't know. So, which tells me that product is starting to move a little faster. And I'm seeing that in a lot of industry, not just the screen enclosure industry. We are actually able to receive materials in a somewhat of a shorter period of time than say a month ago. So that tells me things are going in the right direction. I don't want to be over optimistic, but everything goes in waves, Brandon. I think we hit the bottom of the tank, so to speak, with the wave of how bad things could be as far as supplies. And now I think we're starting to pull up a little bit. So my thoughts are we're going in a very good direction at this point. Again, if next time I'm on the show, I hope I can still make this statement. Yeah,
me too. I hope it's moving in that right direction and correcting. And what about labor side?
And that's in our business. Screen enclosure installers are a very, very unique breed. They're not just your ordinary average framer. And these guys, when they, I always made the statement, if there were 1,500 good installers on the west coast of Florida 10 years ago, there's 1,500 good installers today on the west coast of Florida. They're few and far between, the good installers. So they are going to obviously get the amount of money that they need to build the projects, and they realize that square footage prices of everything is escalating. Now, you see that in your business, your real estate home sale business. So as all of them numbers go up, obviously the labor rate will continue to go up as well. And I don't want to throw a percentage out there, but I'm going to take a wild guess today, in the middle towards the end of March. I say we're 10% higher on labor than we were by year's end in 2021.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. So, and again, that's going to continue, I think. People will move down here from the great Northeast. They sold their $900,000 home in New York that was 1,250 square feet, and they're down here. They buy 2,800 square feet for $350,000, and they are just so happy. So they do have a little extra money to spend on the patios, the screen rooms, the pools, the pool enclosures. So in some cases, that 10% rate I don't think applies to a negative factor in our business. And again, I don't know if you've ever seen these guys and how they work when they install these pool cages. Wow, they need to make the money that they make or more, because it is not an easy proposition.
Yep.
In some cases they walk a 2-inch wide beam that's 12 feet in the air.
Wow.
And they're rolling the fabric in, and they're walking the beams and they're telling jokes. It's second nature to them, and it's amazing. So I mean, it is an extremely talented profession.
Yeah, skilled worker for sure. We got Nate Ginter in the house. He wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, Fred, just a quick question regarding obviously freestanding versus a screen that's attached or anchored to the house. Is there a significant cost difference there for a homeowner?
Significant. Okay. In some cases, the material cost may be actually double, because there's nothing supporting that cage except for the cage itself.
Okay.
And then obviously when you build the cage, now a pool cage is designed to rock and roll in the wind. All right, but you have to know how to build it and engineer it so that it rocks and rolls to a degree, and not significantly enough where things are going to start cutting loose on it. So basically, to answer your question once again, yes, they are much more expensive for that reason. The load requirements, the wind load requirements, are different on freestanding versus cages attached to the rear of the home. So basically, attached to the rear of the home, if it's a perfect rectangle cage, you got 3 sides exposed, whereas you don't have that with a freestanding. You have perfect rectangle or perfect square with 4 sides exposed.
Yeah. All right, hey, let's take a quick break there. Fred, can you hang over the break with us? We're going to come back more with Fred Muth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Nate Ginter in the house coming up as well. Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, cybersecurity right here in Tampa Bay. And I want to talk about the Federal Reserve and how it is licensed theft. I got a pretty cool clip I'm going to play from an old school politician. You remember Ron Paul? I got a great clip. I found a clip for him. I'm going to play that coming up here next on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We're one of the few, only 1,000 agents now that are certified through the Sports and Entertainment Division at Keller Williams Realty. Also part of the Commercial Real Estate Division. So if you've got commercial properties, vacant land, residential properties you want to sell, we'd love to talk to you. We feature our real estate listings live on air, help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, and internet marketing. And featuring your property on the Consumer Quarterback Show gets you on 80 outlets worldwide: Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Of course, we're streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter, and other places as well. And of course, we're on the weekends on 102.5 The Bone, 860 The Answer here daily. Hot property here, 14626 Loredon Drive. This is a property that we've got in Seminole, Florida. This is a great opportunity to own real estate here at 14626 Loredon Drive here in Tampa Bay. Beautiful property that has basically it's the cul-de-sac. It's a peninsula. You're overlooking the Gulf of Mexico there, the intercoastal waterways, 180-degree views. You've got a heated pool, tennis courts, 2 bedrooms, 3 bath, 1,330 square feet. $1 million listing right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Lots of updates and upgrades to talk about at our Loredon Drive property number 14 in Seminole. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPteam.kw.com.
All I've got's love.
Right, got a new sound clip there. Little Kenny Chesney, Ziggy Marley. All right, so we got Fred Muth on the line, Nate Ginter in the house, and we're talking with Tampa Screens and Aluminum, as well as Chief Technology Officer Vine IT here on the show. All right, so before the break, I teased, you guys know Rand Paul, Ron Paul. Here's his take on the Federal Reserve.
To me, the Federal Reserve is just license theft. It's a counterfeiter. Why would we go out and say, what we want is a system of money which is counterfeiting? So there's 22 criminal groups out there. They counterfeit money all the time. You go and you pick the best one, the most efficient one of counterfeiting money and fooling the people and lying to the people. And you finally pick them and say, you're the chief counterfeiter. So we ended up with the chief counterfeiter, and it was established in 1913. And it was designed for the purpose of bailing out banks and having perpetual growth of government and deceiving the people. It was meant to be able to pay for welfare, warfare, and all the militarism that we have. And they would always be smart enough to put on restraints. So right now we're having a little problem like that. And they say, oh, we're solving our problem. We just raised interest rates 0.25%, and that's going to solve the problem.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. You see this going on time after time, bailout after bailout, dollars being spent. A lot of the Ukraine money, the big money that was just talked about last week, and a lot of that money that went overseas. Some of the pork and some of the stuff that's in there is just flat out junk. It's some of the language. I was listening to another episode of this show, and he was talking about how the money was going to go to counter terrorism and anti fake news or essentially, basically, whoever they deem to be the enemy, they're going to come after them. And there was like $21 million in there for that. But you think about the printing of the money, and there's an old throwback for you there. Ron Paul, somebody that's kind of a strict constitutionalist, libertarian type person, talking about license theft, the Federal Reserve. So printing money, causing a lot of ripple effects throughout the economy. Fred, your opinion on that, your thoughts on that?
Well, let's just say that the subject matter fits his voice very well. Perfect to a T.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm a little nervous about what I see, with the printing way too much money and not being able to back it there, in the inflation issues. I think that's sort of a subject that I could go on for 2 hours. I don't think we have that much time here. But, everything that I would say to you regarding that is just speculation on my part. And I don't have a solid opinion other than it's a frightening situation what's going on, because at some point the bubble has to burst. And I don't think we're going to see that, but it can happen. I mean, that's about where I got to leave that one. How about yourself? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It's the effect though. That what really frustrates me is the middle income earners. It's constant. The low to middle income earners are the ones that are getting robbed. The elites, the politicians, their cronies, their kickback buddies, and that's the other thing with this money that we just voted, and there was bipartisan support. Some of the typical rhino type Republicans voted for it. A lot of that money that was supposed to go overseas, yes, it does go overseas, but what happens is it ends up coming back. So they're taking our taxpayer dollar, mostly the middle income earners that are paying that majority of the taxes. It's going overseas. It's going to their slush funds, their kickbacks, their cronies, and they're putting it in the name of Ukraine, of course. But anyways, it's an attack on the middle class. It's theft. It's counterfeiting, and they say, oh well, we're going to raise the rates by a quarter. It's just a game that they're playing, and it's the elites versus the muscular class, the people that actually go out and work for a living, that file tax returns. Right. That, by the way, they just spent a lot of that money, 85,000 new IRS agents to come and take your money. Nate, you comment on that? Yeah,
so the real devil in the details with the Federal Reserve isn't even necessarily that it's private and they don't ever get audited, which is insane that the number one financial institution in our country hasn't been audited in 100 years.
Right.
But fractional reserve lending is basically the simple concept is if I have $1, I can lend you 10. So that's how mortgages work and things of these nature. But the reason you want to talk about inflation, what the Federal Reserve does is with a purported dollar, they lend that $10 to a bank that then lends out $100 in the private sector.
Yeah.
So for $1 of actual backed money, supposedly, we think so.
The reserve requirement is super low.
Yeah, there's $100 of supposed wealth being created, and if you were a guy holding $1 back before they printed 100 of it, well, your dollar is now worth slightly less. That's what inflation is. So it's not a mystery how it happens. And when you hear of a housing boom, there's all this money being created by mortgages that are out there in the wild. And those things, they don't have immediate impacts. You're not going to see, if you have a big year in real estate, 1 year isn't going to, necessarily drive up inflation rates, but sustained, real estate booms do create that. And in a lot of other sectors, real estate is just one of the ways, that there's multi-year loans being created from these things.
Yep.
And, there's all these weird other devices where, let's say somebody defaults on a mortgage. Well, now the bank writes off the full value of the loan, which, by the way, that money never existed. So how can they be writing off something that never existed? You would think, you write off the immediate loss that you took for lending the money,
right.
But no, they write off the entire value of things. And it's those sorts of, very high concept, you're not taught this in high school.
Right.
These aren't topics that we cover in, a civics math class.
Yep.
That, really aren't even complicated. A half an hour at a seminar would be enough to teach you about how most of that stuff works.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about out of time for this segment. I wanted to go back to Fred. Fred, final thought for you, and how can folks connect with you?
Best way to connect, in my opinion, is still the telephone, 813-960-7064. They can always request an estimate on our website, tampascreensandAluminum.com. And then my final thoughts are, and I've mentioned this many times, ask as many questions as you can as a homeowner going into a project, because the questions are best asked before the project is completed. and there's no surprises on the back end.
Right on. Absolutely. Good stuff. Hey, Fred, thanks so much. Say hello to the team for us. Appreciate you calling in.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Coming up, Nate Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT. We're going to dive into a statement by President Biden on our national security, cybersecurity, that is, out of the White House. Coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Johnny, let me know when you want to proceed. You ready? Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. Have you ever thought about getting your real estate license? Well, that's something cool that our company has innovated with. Yet again, a very innovative company. Keller Williams Real Estate School now is available. It's powered by Kaplan, and you can get your license. A lot of folks I'm talking to say, yeah, this would be a cool little side hustle for me, something to do on the side. Maybe I'm a remodeling contractor and I'm into people's houses and talking to them about it. But yeah, it's essentially it's an online course. It's free. You take a free online course powered by Kaplan, Keller Williams Real Estate School, and then you get your fingerprints and get your testing done. And then you might turn into a referral agent. Maybe you're just saying, hey, here's a phone number and a name, make a 25% referral on that. But it's a great opportunity to kind of get into the real estate space. And a lot of people are always watching HGTV and thinking, man, I could do that. I would be a realtor. I'd be a good realtor, right? So think about that. Reach out to the show. We'd love to talk to you if you have any interest in that. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. Okay, quick listing here for this segment. 820 Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs. We've got a cute little residential home available, but it's also a commercial property area. So this could easily be looked at as a commercial property. 820 Pinellas Avenue, Tarpon Springs, 2-bedroom, 2-bath property. And it looks great on the inside. Beautiful property here in Tampa Bay. You've got a laundry room as well. Quarter-acre downtown, so you got the walkability to walk to the restaurants over by the Sponge Docks and the main strip there, Tarpon Avenue, and the Sponge Docks restaurants and businesses. So great opportunity. Corner lot, 820 North Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs, and you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got our friend Nate Ginter in the house here, Chief Technology Officer at Vine IT, vineit.com. And yeah, I love how you tee up these great stories. So we got a statement by the President Biden on our nation's cybersecurity. And I always kind of say an asterisk there, illegitimate in my opinion, President. But anyways, go ahead. Statement by President Biden.
Mark McGuire with the home run record. I got you.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so President Biden came out and released a statement from the White House, basically, touting some of the new cybersecurity standards that they've released in the last year. Those mainly relate to military contractors, but the tone of it was definitely like, hey, if you haven't taken care of security already, you really need to start thinking about it and beefing that up, even, small businesses across the U.S. So, a lot of people don't even know where to start when it comes to these sorts of things. And,
right.
I say, if you're out there and you're in financial services, if you're in real estate, if you're in any sort of medical field and you're worried about it, you should be. But no, there's a lot of resources out there, my company, many other ones. You want to start with an assessment. So, have somebody come in, the trained security professional, come in and just tell you where the holes are. So if there's improvements that can be made. And one of the things that a good assessor is going to do is not just hand you a list of problems, but hey, here's some potential fixes for you, some potential products that are out there that you can take to, whether it's an IT company or hire a consultant to come in and implement for you. And most of the time when I go into, smaller businesses, these are, places with under 50 employee counts, it's not a ton of hardware that you're really looking at these days. It's process improvements, making sure that, your resources have multi-factor authentication in front of them, making sure that you're using an antivirus that you don't just install and wonder if it's working, something that's reporting back to you, and putting employee exit procedures in place and making sure that those are checked and verified, and you've got a good yearly report being put up to senior management. So a lot of it is more process oriented even than a specific technology. So you'd be surprised at how cheap it is just to know that you're secure rather than think you're secure.
Right, absolutely. You look at all these different phishing schemes, and, the hacking, they come in, they take over your computer. Multi-factor authentication is great. I love how I can set that up easily now on different social medias, or I think I just bought a TV over the weekend, got a new big screen, and there was super easy, sends you the text, okay, that's my device. That seems like a cure.
It is, and actually, especially with TV setups and all these new gadgets and gizmos, home security, a lot of them are doing things where you're just visiting a web link and then matching up codes.
Exactly.
So they just link right together. Really cool stuff. So it's not just about security. Some of it actually makes it even more convenient for you.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So our nation is potentially going to be under attack in a lot of different ways. And it's interesting to see how this Ukraine thing has brought a lot of this to the forefront, right? So you've got kind of like the Rhino Republican part of the Republican side, the right, wanting to go to war, wanting to get this spending machine going again, this military complex, and even some of the Democratic Party, of course, that's involved with that as well. They align there, the kind of the uniparty, and then you've got a little bit more of the MAGA people saying, hey, no, let's make America great. Let's worry about our southern border. Let's worry about infrastructure, security. Let's protect the house, right? Kind of like that. What was it? Under Armour, protect this house, right?
Yeah. Well, we haven't been in wars with nuclear powers, so there's an added concern. It's one thing if you take over a military depot in Iraq and now you're responsible for making sure you secure guns and anti-tank shells and things like that. When you're responsible for now, let's say you take an area that has a nuclear silo.
Right.
Well, now you've got responsibility for protecting that, not just against the army that you just beat, but against local criminals
and bioweapons, just like they were talking about in I forgot who it was, Tulsi Gabbard or one of them coming out about the bioweapons talk in Ukraine, and then of course Romney jumps in and calls her a traitor because she was just simply bringing up the fact that there might be bioweapons that we should secure.
A combat wounded veteran, mind you.
Yeah.
This lady was shot down in, I believe, a Black Hawk. It's like, come on.
And then Rhino Romney comes in and says, oh, this lady must be a traitor. He does some kind of a tweet about it.
Yeah, and I honestly think that people's thumbs are a lot dumber than they are. And, I think that if you gave him 24 hours to sit and look at that, he would tweet something different. But his blood was up, and he, I don't always attribute malice to where the swiftness of the communication and the ease of thought to millions of people is now, I personally, I don't use Twitter for that very reason. There's been too many times when I'm sitting around going, this is so-and-so. I'd have a million bad things out there because, your first thought is often right, but it's also often wrong, especially when it comes to an emotional issue.
Yeah, you got to take a minute and relax on that and think about it from a
quick email etiquette thing regarding that. Anytime I have a tough email to send to somebody, when I'm ready to do it, I have an automatic 5-minute delay on my emails that go out because how many times have you sent something and then as soon as you hit it, you were like, oh boy, I didn't really mean it that badly. Yeah. And you wish you could pull it back. So I have a 5-minute timer on everything I send out.
Yeah. And then you also look at it from a perspective of, especially if you can say two nice things, put that one thing that's a little bit negative in the middle and then end with a nice thing, right? Kind of sandwich it in there.
You always want to try wherever possible to end with a solution to the problem, even if it's something that the other person needs to do.
Exactly.
Say, hey, here's my thoughts on this, and let them come back with, it just says, hey, I'm trying to bridge the gap between the two of us. And I think in our political system, we're seeing less and less of that. But again, people used to shoot each other on the floor of the house. So,
right.
When people were like, well, back in the good old days, I'm like, you mean when the dude got beat into a wheelchair with a cane on the floor of the house? Like
I think I remember that
in the
one.
1800s.
Yes.
Yeah, there was duels and open shootings and things. I'm like, it was always contentious. Let's not get ourselves.
Exactly. That's right. We're talking with Nate Ginter here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Chief Technology Officer at Vine IT. Another great example of a local area business right here in Tampa Bay, and supporting the show, supporting these local area business owners really helps the whole family here, the Salem media family, everybody involved with the program. The Consumer Quarterback Show helps us to put on events and do things that we do as well. Reach out to the show hotline, 813-917-1894. You can call or text that hotline. We'll put you in touch with Nate Ginter and his team, 813-917-1894. And moving on to our next segment here, or next episode of the content. Apple blocks iTunes rentals and purchases on Android TV, androidpolice.com.
So for a long time, as we all probably can imagine, whether you're in the Android App Store or the Apple App Store, when they sell something, they take a percentage of that. And even if it's a purchase inside of the app, they get a percentage of that. Well, for a long time, Apple and Android had kind of a mutual non-aggression pact where they said, hey, if somebody's running the Apple iTunes app on your Android or trying to cast that to a TV, or, you have a smart TV that's running Android, we're just going to let those fees go. Well, that deal is expired, and Apple has kind of fired the first shot and said that if you are using Android TV, which when I say Android TV, if you have a smart TV and you're pulling up the applications on it, most of those are Android TV based.
Right.
So what does that mean for you? Well, you can watch anything that you've already purchased, and if you have a subscription to it, all the free shows you're allowed to watch. But the ability to, say, like, rent a new movie that just came out on a lot of TVs will be disabled. So you would have to go to a computer and basically rent that. I kind of think they're going to pull this back. It seems almost counterproductive because there's very few TVs that ship that are native Apple TVs. I've never seen one, doesn't mean they don't exist. But usually if somebody's using Apple TV outside of the application, they've got that little box. And
that's what happened with ours that we just bought. It's got all the little icons. It's still confusing. I can't even figure out how to get Spectrum on there.
Right.
It's like I need to call Vine IT, man, to come help my computer set or my new screen TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so it's funny. I think that level of complication is only going to hurt the revenue. There's anytime you talk, like if you talk to anybody who's online shopping, every click away from the product is like a 30% drop off on somebody just going, forget about it.
Right, the heat map. I've seen those heat maps where that's where the mouse goes.
Yep. And it's wild. And the analytics they have, especially in online shopping today, are beyond bizarre.
Yeah.
Down to color schemes and everything else that are different stages is wild stuff. But yeah, so just know if you all of a sudden can't rent something on when you think you're on iTunes, it's probably to do with the platform you're using. So if you want a seamless experience on televisions, you really want to go get yourself an actual Apple TV rather than trying to use the Apple TV application.
Yeah, it's interesting. Similar with my home. I've got Google Home set up to play the speakers, but then of course you can't use Apple TV or Apple Music with Google Home because they don't play well together. Right. So then you'd have to get like your Spotify or I got Sirius XM because I listen to that in my Mercedes, my SUV. So anyways, so it's funny how these big tech companies sometimes don't want to play with each other, and the consumer ends up having to go around.
It just creates a lot of unnecessary haggling, but I mean that is the American way. There's you don't install Mazda parts in a Mercedes.
Yeah, it's capitalism, right?
It is what it is, but every now and then it hurts our sense of convenience entitlement.
There you go. That's it. There we go. Let's break it down. We're playing music on speakers,
right,
and we're complaining about an app that
I'm not dodging a missile here in the Ukraine. I'm just trying to watch Bosch.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more with Nate Ginter here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're gonna come into our feel-good story of the day. Epic raises $36 million in 24 hours to aid Ukraine using Fortnite. Coming up right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
That's right. Yeah, and thank God for the internet, right? You got Project Veritas, pulling the curtain back on all kinds of different things. All right, we're back. Here we go. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show. In studio, we got Nate Ginter in the house, Chief Technology, Vine IT, and wanted to jump into our feel-good story of the day here. We're going to tell you something good here.
Tell me something good.
All right, so Epic raises $36 million in 24 hours to aid Ukraine using Fortnite, and Nate, I'll let you take it away on that.
Absolutely. So, as some of you may know, there's a game out there called Fortnite where, kids and adults alike battle it out in the fun, cartoon-like arena. And it's become one of the most popular video games of all time. And they sell little battle passes and outfits for all the characters and things. And in 24 hours, they actually raised $36 million. I think it's going to cap out to over 100 million by the time they're done, but that it's all supposedly going to Ukraine aid, not the direct war effort, but aiding civilians in crisis. Which if you're seeing the numbers for refugees and things like that, boy, those people really need some help. So just a cool example of how that some of the technology we always talk about. It's going to rot kids' brains and all these things I've been hearing. I've been a gamer my whole life, and I'm like, yeah, well. How much did Gunsmoke ever give to help refugees?
Yeah, right. Some of the old movies, the old Western or TV shows, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's great. That's a good story there. I wanted to just touch on something, not technology topic here, but just something happened locally here in Tampa Bay. It looks like we've got a $35 million bill. It was added to the bill of a $112 million bill that budget lawmakers were looking at. I've got to find out if that's passed or not. But $35 million for a sports training and youth tournament complex that could potentially be used to bring the Rays to Pasco County for spring training. So this was an interesting story. So it's out of Odessa, Florida. Odessa is one of the fastest growing areas in the state, and it looks like it could potentially be coming. I got to double check to see if that budget got approved on Monday. But a new sports complex will be built between Starkey Ranch and Austria on State Road 54. Pasco County has been working to build its sports tourism market for several years, and it seems like a pretty cool thing that could potentially happen here in Pasco County.
I mean, I live in St. Pete, so I would say that there's a little bias there. But to me, the big problem with St. Pete, as opposed to most other cities, when it comes to sports fanaticism, we'll say, is getting people over the bridges. Yeah. So. It's fine if you're coming from, Clearwater or, Del Mar or something like that. But, boy, if you're trying to get there from Tampa or from Sarasota, you got some lines and things to wade through. And I think people just don't want to deal with the hassle a lot of the time. So I would be interested to see if they have the population center, because let's face it, the majority of people are going to come from within 20 to 30 minutes for baseball that are going to come regularly.
Right.
Well, sure, you have people flying in and things like that, but that's a lot less of your demographic. You want a good place with a huge population center. That's why New York has 2 teams, because they can support that with the people that live locally.
Right.
I would be interested to know, is Odessa that populous?
Well, this is just for a Pasco. This is more for like a sports training and youth tournament
Okay,
complex.
gotcha.
And they were saying that the Rays might go there for like spring training, not to relocate the Rays there. Yeah, but a $35 million fund for Pasco could help new youth sports complex between Starkey Ranch and Austria. Would potentially use for Tampa Bay Rays spring training. Businesses in the area say development in recent years has flooded the area with new homes, and a sports complex that attracts national attention will fuel even more growth. So there you go.
I would imagine
you got the pros and the cons, right? Some people are saying, hey, we're growing too fast, we don't want this, and then other people are, just like the lagoons up there. So you got the lagoons. That's a cool attraction, and it's something to maybe keep them from driving to the beaches and spending time.
They've got a lot of like orange groves, and there's a lot of rural agriculture up there too. And, well, should I say industrial agriculture?
Yeah.
That's up there. So I mean, there's jobs to be had, and it sounds like a great growth plan for them.
Well, that's the key. I've got 30 acres that I've got listed up there on New York Avenue, 9221 New York Avenue, which is a great opportunity for builders and developers. But so 9221 New York Avenue is a property that I've got listed up there, and the idea when I talked to the county commission, they mentioned like, okay, this is industrial zoned, so to take this to a single family townhome type community on one hand makes sense because you're going to improve the tax base, et cetera. People have to live somewhere. But if it's industrial zoned, they want to keep that more of a job center, producing jobs, that's what they're looking for. And I think this will help do that a lot. The article goes on to say how, let's see here, Advent Health Center, ice facility, the Tiger Woods Pop Stroke Golf Complex under construction right now, the sports facilities that could bring nationwide attention to an area that used to primarily be farms and woodlands. And Florida State Senator Danny Burgess proposed the budget item. There will be a sports and youth tournaments and national attention, and so I think it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, you got a lot of that. It's so popular. I know a lot of my friends and nephews, nieces, et cetera, playing softball all across the state, baseball, different tournaments, and they're traveling in a lot. So I think that's a huge industry, and it could be a big shot in the arm for tourism here.
Well, and especially something like that, the sports team, because like the Tiger Woods, pop golf is awesome. So seeing all that come together and coalesce, maybe that some people want to make that a vacation home, so they start looking at things like that to be there during the summer for kids camps and that sort of thing. It could be kind of their niche in the wilderness there.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people are thinking about that for Pasco County, and a lot of folks are looking at. We talked earlier in the show, yesterday's show actually, about people that are saying, "Hey, I want to sell my home." But I start looking at it. Where am I going to go?
Right.
So I think to look at those Pasco, that Hernando, those northern county, even up to Citrus and some of those other counties, for folks that don't have to be at a certain location.
Right.
And this is another good topic for you with your Vine IT Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, Nate Ginter here on the show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Is more and more people, and I'm seeing more and more articles about the work from home type scenario.
Sure.
So if they can sell a Clearwater home, St. Pete home, Tampa home, and move to Pasco, Hernando, Citrus counties and work from home, they're going to be able to get a lot more bang for their buck, spend less dollar per square foot.
Less dollar per square foot. And the other thing that nobody talks about is some people don't want to be in the middle of a land mass of a million people. Some people, you want to be in a neighborhood, you want to be in a city, but you don't necessarily want to be in a huge, booming skyscrapers going up everywhere, urban metropolis. And, and they want that kind of combination of country living with a suburban lifestyle. And, places like that, I think, are going to be springing up all over where you wouldn't expect them right now.
And just think if we did go to some type of a World War III type of scenario, MacDill Air Force Base is a big target.
Right. Well, absolutely.
So people are saying, hey, get me 100 miles away from that. Get me 200 miles away from that.
I think that they're going to be trying to hit a lot of things up where I'm from, up in the Northeast, a little bit before they come. But, you never know.
Yeah.
And
Southern Command.
Yeah.
Southern Command right there.
It's a scary thought.
Yeah. So, Nate, final thoughts here. We're coming into our last minute or so.
Sure.
There's a lot of topics we could talk about. You and I have always talked about, transhumanism. We've talked about the Facebook metaverse and cryptocurrencies. Pick a topic and let's chat a little bit.
Probably much to your agreement. I don't know if you saw it. Facebook stock's taken quite a tumble since
Really?
all the metaverse chatter has come up, because if you're a stockholder, you don't want to hear that you're going to need to sink another $10 billion in 5 years of the main focus of the company
Right.
into something rather than growing your existing revenue model.
Right.
I think ultimately it'll be a wash in the end. But last I looked, their stock was down by about 20% over the last 2 weeks, and a lot of that being negative coverage from some of the things that are almost comical to look at, because I'm like, if you ever used it, you know it's not what you think it is. But
I also wonder if some of that's coming down to the Zucker boxes that were out there. There's a lot more and more GOP push for, some of this election decertification talks in Wisconsin, and they're saying a lot of it was because of these states allowing Zucker bucks to go $500 million to be put into these mostly Democratic-run areas to enable these drop boxes. Then you got Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules movie coming out, video evidence proof of people putting in these ballots, getting paid for ballots, taking selfies outside of these boxes. I wonder if that has anything to play with that stock price falling.
I would say probably not. Most investors don't vote with their political affiliation. They tend to. I'm sorry, with their financial investments.
Yeah,
so,
we'll see.
But we'll see. You never know. I always say I want to be able to vote online from my couch instantaneously, and I want to be able to read the results.
Yeah, well, that's going to be scary. Too much fraud with that, but I'd rather go back to paper and have it take a little longer. All right, hey, good stuff, Nate. Appreciate you coming in, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.